We laughed last night. I'm sorry, allergies is bad this time of year. We laughed last night with the kids. I told them, I said, that's great. I'm getting inducted, and I'm going to follow a United States colonel. He's going to be talking about jumping out of planes, saving the country, and I'm going to tell him I hit a home run one time. So that's and my second bone to pick with you, Etch, is that my picture on the table is in black and white. So you played right into their hands. I guess it's kind of a relief a little bit to be up here because I was scared to death and afraid that I was going to make it on in some type of Hall of Fame induction as a sports official. Nobody wants to get go into Hall of Fame as an official. You want to go in as a player. So I have had some luck, though, as you can see. I've been in the SEC now for about 16 years. And a lot of what is applied on the field, and it was interesting. I never met David before yesterday, and it was almost like we compared notes. A lot of the things I learned about excellence, I learned here. I learned right here at Maryville College, and it's applied on the field every time I go out there. Before I go any further, I am going to try to be pretty brief, but before I go any further, I do work with a lot of athletic departments. We have rain situations, games get moved. I'm usually, now that I've been around the league a while, I'm usually the crew chief on my crew. And I have to work with a lot of pretty big time programs. And I'm telling you what, right now, the SID at this school is as classy and as good as any in the country, and I think he deserves a hand. Eric Edson. Absolutely, if there's a better ambassador for this college over the last 25 years, I would love to see who it is. I'm serious. And then it's always great to see Coach Lambert and Candace and the class that has been displayed from this college. Just ever since I've ever first came in contact with it has been unbelievable. I was telling Glenn a story about Coach Lambert earlier. With me being in sporting goods, we set up as a vendor at the high school state tournament every year. They let us go out on the floor to mingle around and say hello to the coaches. It makes coaches feel special if they see you there showing some interest in their program. And I go down on the floor and I hear a guy yell over my shoulder sitting on the first row, and it's Houston Fancher. So I stop and I talk to Coach Fancher. Shortly after that, as I finish talking to Coach Fancher, I'm making my way back to my seat. And I heard another guy yell at me. Only this time he's coaching in the game. It's John Boucher. Stop and talk to John Boucher. The salesman with me said, "How do you know these people?" I said, "They all came from Coach Lambert's tree somehow or another." I get back down into the hospitality suite. Chris Carney, who's the head basketball coach at Portland High School, stops by and says hi to me. Same sales guy sitting at the table, man in the booth with me. He said, "How'd you know him?" Played for Coach Lambert. I get back. I had to remember the end of the story. I get back to work on Monday. Austin Peay State University calls, and they order a lot of their equipment and uniforms through me. Coach called, and he said, "Scotty?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Dean Walsh." "Dean, how you doing?" Salesman sits right next to me, same guy, sits 2 seats over from me. He goes, "Don't tell me, Randy Lambert." I said, "Randy Lambert." So his tree, coaching tree, they sent me to NC State when I was still in the ACC. Who do I go see? Wes Moore. It's everywhere I go, and they're all class individuals. So another guy that deserves a great round of applause for being a great ambassador at this college. I'd never coming from a small town of Portland High School, I had never seen a volleyball match. True story. I'd never seen a volleyball match till I came to college. And I had an opportunity to come watch and was absolutely amazed at the athleticism. I don't even know the term. I don't know much about volleyball, but the coordination, the plays, the strategy that was involved in volleyball. And I kind of got hooked on watching it. And I really enjoyed it as a sport, and I still do to this day. And a lot of that's due to this lady over here, Candace Schramm. That's not a church youth group over there. That is my family. Zach is 6'6". Autumn's a runner. Emma is very good at math. Lauren can play any instrument you put in her hands. That leaves us with 2, okay? Easton is running around on any given Friday night trying to knock somebody's head off from linebacker. If you've ever seen a 5'8", 180-pound linebacker play for one of the best defenses in high school in the nation, you come see him play on Friday night. And then Bailey will be, you can find her screaming from any SEC stadium on any given Saturday, screaming her lungs off. So you can guess of those 6, which 2 were mine, the last 2, because I hadn't ran 26 miles since I graduated. I'm not 6'6". I can barely tell you what 2 + 2 is now, probably, and I couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. So the final 2 there are mine. But anyway, we claim all 6. We love them all. They're great kids, and I'll tell you, I've had a blast with them this weekend, so it's been a lot of fun. When I first came over here to East Tennessee, I ran out of gas. I didn't run out of gas, but I was almost out of gas. I'm down the highway here, and I'd been here 2 or 3 days, and I can't remember why, but I didn't have my wallet with me. I pulled in the store, and had already, that's back when they would let you pump the gas, okay, and then you could pay for it. Well, I pumped the gas, and then I realized I didn't have any money. I went in this little country store down here, and the lady says, I'd never heard the word Ewins before. She said, that's okay, honey. She goes, just come back and pay me. She goes, it usually takes Ewins about 5 or 6 years to get out of that school down there. So I say that because there were some East Tennessee terms I'd never heard, and they showed a photo of Clint Bowling up here. He had a really good knuckleball. I hit it in a fall inter squad out here one day, and it was just about unhittable. I'm telling you, folks, it was good. And he said to me, a blind hog can find an acorn every once in a while. I never exactly knew what that term meant, but if you look at me and you look at my wife, you'll see blind hog, acorn. I'm so far out over my skis, I don't know what to do. So anyway, I did enjoy the East Tennessee-isms over here. How I ended up here, there's a true story. What Etch said is spot on. I was being recruited by Lambeth, Kentucky Wesleyan. A couple other schools had shown some interest, but those were pretty serious. You never know. It's kind of funny how things happen. I was like, well, where am I going to send my 3rd ACT score to? I said, I've heard a lot about Maryville College and the academic reputation. I'm just going to send it to Maryville. Well, I got a letter from Ronnie Ramsey, and I did visit Lambeth. Did not go to Kentucky Wesleyan. I came over here. Nothing cool about getting in an ice blue Camaro, 78 Camaro, with your mother and driving to your college visit, but I was in an ice blue 78 Camaro with my mother. Came over here, met Ronnie Ramsey. We had a very charming individual, great man, still love him to this day. Ronnie Ramsey and spaghetti and meatballs is the reason I'm standing up here right now. When you grow up in my house, you didn't ask. My children will come home and they'll ask, what's for dinner? My house, it didn't make any difference what was for dinner. That's what you were going to eat. The spaghetti and meatballs were fabulous at the cafeteria that day. I told Mom, I said, well, I got a decision to make when I get home. She goes, you don't have a decision to make. She goes, I love that guy. Those spaghetti and meatballs are outstanding. You're going to Maryville College. And so I called him Monday morning, and here I am. It was a wonderful experience. It was I tell my children all the time, it was a great 4 years. During those 4 years here, and I told Coach Lambert this earlier when I was talking to him, there were some amazing athletes here, folks. I'm telling you, now this is coming from somebody I'm out there with some of the best in North America any given weekend. I'm serious, in the SEC. And I'm telling you, the Glenn Cullops, the Timmy Lawrences, the Kelvin Richardsons, the Clint Bowlings, the guys that I played with, they could play anywhere in the nation, okay? And I didn't mean to bring up a sore subject with Coach Lambert, but I'm like, your whole starting 5 is in the Wall of Fame. Come on, can we not get to the Final 4? They were fun to watch. They were absolutely outstanding. I guess before I leave, I want to, Coach Lambert and my mom, excuse me, not Coach Ramsey and my mom are the reason that I'm standing up here right now. And I've already told you what I wanted to say about Coach Ramsey. I guess my mother, she's still living. She just doesn't get around very good anymore. I told them, I said it would have taken us 3 hours to get her in here. She just doesn't move as well anymore. But she worked as a blue-collar worker for about the first 30 or 40 years of her life, standing on concrete, just doing dead-end rough jobs to get me through here. She didn't find her calling until, I guess, until later on in life. About the last 15 years of her working career, she worked with special needs students as a student aide at Portland High School. She's just retired this last year. I guess I want to mention her because that's where a lot of my strength and courage came from, is my mother. She worked with some of the most severe cases in Sumner County. As my old coach, my basketball coach, Coach Sprouse, is here. Can y'all believe that? My middle school basketball coach, now he's my high school coach, and I wasn't a very good basketball player. I was like sixth man on a good night, seventh and eighth man a lot of times. He had some good teams. But my middle school basketball coach, I'm 45. My middle school basketball coach emailed me last night and said congratulations. And then this guy walks in the door. You want to talk about another guy who's out over his skis. Coach Sprouse walks in this morning. I was floored, absolutely floored. That's the kind of coaches that I grew up around. I had legend after legend after legend that I played for. I had to be decent because of the coaching that I got, and he's one of them, Coach Sprouse. Glad he's here. But I want to get back on track real quick, and I'll wrap up here. The culmination, or I guess the highlight of my mom's tenure in her time at Portland High School was she was huge, just a huge part of the Special Olympics program in Sumner County. You would go to the Special Olympic programs, and all the other schools would just, kids would have on T-shirts and shorts. Not the Portland Panthers. They got on purple T-shirts. They're matching. She took great pride in making sure those kids had everything they needed. And then the highlight of her career in her next to last year, she not only got a kid nominated to be homecoming queen, but one of her students was named homecoming queen at Portland High School. And they now have a prom due to her influence on that program for those children. Anybody want to have their knees replaced at age 72? She had both knees replaced at the same time at 72 years old. I tell you all that about my mother because she's the toughest, yet sweetest lady I've ever met in my life, and that's where my courage came from. I was the first to go to college in my immediate family. I have a niece that was a valedictorian, a salutatorian. I don't know much about that cum laude and all that stuff. I just thanked the Lottie to get to walk across the stage when I graduated. It's about the only Lottie I knew anything about. I have another niece that scored a winning run against Arizona in a College World Series about 10 years ago, Ashley Cline. That was my niece at Tennessee. I have another niece that's here in college now, Tuesday Cline. My daughter, I mentioned to you how proud we are of her and my son and what he's doing on the football field. I have a sister that has the strength and courage to help her husband battle a nasty disease that he fights every day. And then my brother had the courage to start his own business. It all came from my mother and her faith in God. I'd like to wrap up with telling you kind of in my mind, kind of wraps up everything. Never forget, I gave up a home run when I was 14 years old. I gave up a home run one night. Came outside, sat behind a house, and just wailed, crying. First of all, I had no business pitching. But just sit out back, just crying my eyes out. My sister came outside and said, "You need to get in the house and quit crying." And then here comes my mother. She said, "What are you doing?" She goes, "Get in the house." And I said, "I gave up the home run, lost the game." She goes, "Did you do your best?" Fast forward about 3 years later, I threw an interception on the last drive of the game against one of our huge rivals. Same thing, had a meltdown. I would wear a loss like nobody's business. 4 or 5 days, just basically went in hibernation. She finally asked me again. She goes, "Did you do your best?" Well, Mom, I did my best. Thanks.
Portland, Tennessee native Scottie Cline is our next inductee into the Maryville College Wall of Fame. This 1988 graduate of Portland High School excelled for the Panthers in the classroom while lettering in 3 sports: football, baseball, and basketball. This vice president of the senior class did not just letter, but dominated Middle Tennessee on the football field and baseball diamond. He is the only student athlete to date to earn first-team All-State selections for the Panthers in baseball and football. He paced the mid-state in hitting in 1988 with a .446 average, while belting 9 home runs, leading Portland to the regional semifinals. As a quarterback, Cline still holds 4 school passing records and led the Panthers to a 9-2 mark and the state playoffs. Upon graduation, Cline heard about the great academic reputation of Maryville College and submitted his ACT scores. Head baseball coach Ronnie Ramsey invited Scottie and his family for a visit, and he fell in love with the campus and area. With offers from Kentucky Wesleyan and Lambeth on the table, Cline chose to commit to become a Fighting Scot. As a freshman under Ramsey, Cline Scots went 22-13. The 22 wins was the first 20-plus win season in 12 years since Maryville College earned their last NCAA tournament bid in 1977. Maryville received votes throughout the season, competing as an independent, as one of the top 10 teams in the South region. Coach Ramsey brought in a talented group of freshmen led by Cline, George Edwards, Clint Bowling, Neil Pelletier, and Craig Corbett. Key senior leaders included Jeff Sherman, Ken Barber, and Jeff Fuchs. Cline started 22 of the 35 games, but finished the season early after an injury against Emory and Henry. Cline and Corbett were key in directing a strong pitching staff that included Bobby Pringle, Mike Ballard, and Ken Barber. The 1990 season was a season to remember and a season to forget. The East Tennessee weather plagued the Scots with 16 rainouts, including 12 in the month of March. When Maryville College had a break in the weather, fans had the unique opportunity to witness a historic effort by the Scots backstop. Through the first 5 games, Cline sported a .700 average at the plate. As the games doubled and word got out to opposing coaches, the right-handed hitter continued his torrid pace with a .667 average. Going into the last game of the season, Scottie was hitting .521 and leading the country in hitting while sporting an 18-game hitting streak. The Colonels of Center College snapped his streak, but Cline finished the season at .463, ranking 8th nationally. His .463 average still ranks as 4th best average in school history. He finished the season leading MC in average, home runs, slugging percentage, walks, and on-base percentage. Lost in all his offensive accolades, Cline was one of the most consistent defensive catchers in Maryville College history. For the second consecutive season, he allowed no passed balls while fielding at over a .980 clip. The team sported a 4.01 team ERA under his leadership, and the core staff of Pringle, Barber, and Bowling excelled. He also had the opportunity to work with MC Wall of Fame hurler Glenn Cullip as he honed his skills for the next level. Scottie's breakout season helped the Scots go 13-7 and claim the first back-to-back winning seasons in MC baseball history since the 1977-78 squads. Scottie was named to the American Baseball Coaches Association All-South Region squad. Scottie was also named the team's co-most valuable player, along with Clint Bowling, while winning the Golden Glove Award for the Fighting Scots. The spring of 1991 saw a new head coach leading the program. Brian Wagert would take his experience as an NCAA Division III hurler at Salisbury University and combine it with some outstanding returning talent to go 19-17 in his first year at the helm. MC's baseball winning streak extended to 3 seasons, the first 3-season streak in 13 years. Cline was named a preseason All-American and was listed along with teammates Thad Rhodes and Clint Bowling as players to watch by Collegiate Baseball America. The media guide in 1991 stated, "Scottie has quietly become one of the best offensive and defensive catchers in Division III baseball. He has had command and control of the pitching staffs for the past 3 seasons, bringing out his leadership qualities." The season was highlighted by a spring break trip challenging 3 nationally ranked programs, North Carolina Wesleyan, Ferrum, and Methodist. Scottie finished the season second on the team in hits, while leading the Scots in doubles, triples, and RBIs. Cline was named to the ABCA All-South Region squad for a second consecutive season and enjoyed a more active role on campus, serving on the dorm committee while being involved in the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. The 1992 season saw the Scots Diamondmen establish a new season record for wins in a season after finishing 24-14. Key wins over Rose Hulman, Ohio Northern, Ohio Wesleyan, Wittenberg, Hope, and Emory highlighted Cline's senior campaign. Scottie was second on the team in hits, doubles, triples, home runs, total bases, and RBIs, while finishing with a .364 average. He directed a record-setting pitching staff that finished the season with an amazing team ERA of 3.39. Glenn Cullip, 1.59 ERA, and Clint Bowling, 1.49 ERA, highlighted the efforts of the MC pitching staff. This record-setting catcher finished his career as a three-time ABCA All-South Region honoree, while leading the Scots to 4 consecutive winning seasons, a feat not seen since the latter 1970s. During his career, Cline helped the Scots to a 78-51 overall record as an independent. The 78 wins over a 4-year career was the most in any Scots Diamondman career upon his graduation in the fall of 1992. His team efforts helped establish a foundation of success to where Maryville College would go on to post 20-win seasons in 13 of the next 18 baseball seasons. This business major graduated in May of 1992 and established himself as a wholesale representative in the mortgage industry in Middle Tennessee. Today, he represents Lids Team Sports and Team Sales. He still performs on the baseball diamond as an NCAA Division I sanctioned umpire, doing many SEC games over the years. Scottie is joined today by his wife, Beth. They have 6 children: Zach, Autumn, Bailey, Easton, Emma, and Lauren. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome one of the most complete student athletes to ever grace Scotland Yard. Scottie Cline, welcome to the 2015 class of the Maryville College Wall of Fame.